Arrested for looting several shops belonging to foreign nationals now stands at 28. Police say most of the incidents took place in KwaMashu, north of Durban. 5 people have reportedly been killed in many foreign-owned shops looted and burned. Over 2,000 foreign nationals are being accommodated in temporary shelters in the area. The violence further spread last night from townships south of Durban to areas including KwaMashu. Members of the KwaZulu-Natal legislature, Maggie Govender, believes criminality is behind the attacks and not xenophobia. Well, for more on the story, we are joined by Executive Director of the Center for Politics and Research, Mr. Prince Mashele. Very good afternoon to you, sir.
Afternoon, and thanks for inviting me.
Sir, please, can you tell us the latest? What's the attack on the foreigners? Is it justified? What do you think?
Well, there is no kind of violence that can be justified in any normal, civilized, democratic society. Any form of violence is not justified. But the question is, how do we explain what is happening? In my view, there is a combination of 3 factors. The first factor is high unemployment on the part of the youth. Because if you look at the attacks in the main, the people who participate in the attacks are young black South Africans. You would expect that they should be at work, but they are unemployed. The second factor is xenophobia. Quite clearly, the people who are perpetrating this violence they target specific human beings who are non-South African blacks. And the third factor is criminality, because you can see that there are elements that have taken advantage of the situation to loot stuff from shops. So it's a combination of 3 factors, but it can't be justified.
So, and the response from the national and provincial governments, do you think it is helping anything at all? Well,
it's a complicated situation. I think we need to sympathize with the state. It's a complicated situation for the state to handle. But you see, it wouldn't help, in my view, for the state to dismiss this whole thing as purely a criminal affair. The state must recognize that there are socio-economic factors that are behind this, so that the response is comprehensive. Because if you merely dismiss it as a criminal affair, I think that the state will be missing a big opportunity to actually pay attention to genuine factors that drive people to engage in this kind of environment. But it's not easy for the state to deal with a situation like this.
Mr. Mashele, then who is to blame for these attacks? Are they just happening out of ignorance or what?
Well, the people who are involved in the violence centrally must be blamed, because they are the ones who are causing all the mayhem. So there's no way you can say you don't blame them. So they must be blamed. The state must intervene to make sure that they stop this. The law enforcement agencies must be firm. But at the same time, if we are thinking long-term as a country, we must confront the question of unemployment, especially youth unemployment, because if we don't do that, we won't have long-term stability. From time to time, these things will break up and disturb our stability.
Very quickly, Mr. Mashele, before I let you go, what can we do as the citizens of this country?
Well, as citizens of this country, there are things we can do, there are things we can't do. Firstly, as private citizens, we can't go arrest these people. The state must do that. But citizens must use whatever public platform to actually demonstrate that they are not part of the people who are causing chaos, so that we isolate these elements. They must not actually reflect, claim to represent the generality of South Africans. So we must isolate them as an isolated component of our society. I think that's what citizens must do. Use the public spaces to advocate for peace and for tolerance. That's what I think we need to do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mashele, for that. That is, of course, the Executive Director of the Center for Politics and Research, Mr. Prince Mashele. Well, up next is Mduduzi with the latest.